magazine in its second issue tried to explain the main and he wanted to know that what he could do in greater cities become a monument to the courage and faith of the upstart Americans.
Hello, my name is Dean Contover, and this is the History Show put on by Chelmsford Media. And what we do in the History Show is we interview veterans who participated in war and some veterans who did not participate in war. But we have a veteran here who was in the United States Marine Corps during World War II in Korea. And mostly we've been talking about his experiences. What happens with this video or DVD, it will eventually wind up in the Library of Congress, and it would be filed there for future historians to look at the record. What happens if you go on the Library of Congress website, you can go into that website, and it will have a Veterans Project there, and you could click on and look at the names on the Veterans Project on that website. So we've been interviewing Mr. Paul Cricones, United States Marine Corps. Believe it or not, he was a gunner and a radioman on a B-25 in World War II, and I found that very interesting. He went to Paris Island for basic, went to Cherry Point Air Station, went to radio school there, then went to Jacksonville for gunnery school, then went to back to Jacksonville, back to Cherry Point, North Carolina, and he started to go overseas to California, and we were talking about his plane flying over to Hawaii. He couldn't fly on that, so he had to take a troop ship over from California with 10,000 other Marines, and it was an interesting story where he was talking about how they ate on the ship, and where they wound up eventually on Russell Island, which I seem to remember Russell Island, but I can't place it on the map in the vast Pacific. So the boat wound up in Russell Island, and they offloaded, I believe, all the troops there, and yourself. No?
Oh, that was a problem. I reported to the Marine commander, and I says, look, sir, I'm not infantry, and I got all this aviation gunnery and equipment. I said, this got to get up to my squadron, wherever it is. And I don't get no. He says, this is advanced training for these guys. They're going to be going into combat. So he talked to the captain of the ship, and the captain said, well, look, my next port is Guadalcanal, and then from there I'm going back to the States. So I'll drop them off in Guadalcanal,
right?
Which they did. And
that was a big battle, Guadalcanal. Was this before the big battle or after?
No,
oh.
It was after it.
Oh, okay.
And the Army was in charge of the port, and Guadalcanal outside of Henderson Field, which
was a major battle over that field.
Aircraft, but there were Army aircraft too in Henderson Field. They had P-38s.
Right.
And we had the Corsairs flying out of there. So I ended up in what they called the replacement depot, way out in the middle of nowhere in the jungle. Wait for transportation available. They said, well, whenever the next C-47 that's empty is going up to wherever it is you're supposed to go, he said. So they didn't even know themselves. Neither did I. The Marine Rebel Detachment replacement depot there only had a captain, a first sergeant, a clerk, and a truck driver. And the thing was empty. It was just myself and then one other fellow that I met from my high school class, Ed Easton.
Oh, no kidding. I was going to ask you if you ever met anybody overseas.
Yeah, he was. He had gone to radio school, not with me. He came in after he stayed to graduate from my class. Anyway, and he's standing up on the deck, and I know you. We started talking back and forth. So anyway, we were together on the ship too. That's right. And then Guadalcanal, we shared a tent, and we spent about 6 weeks in Guadalcanal. And it was pretty well secured, but we still had a Jap Heckler plane, they called them. It was a fighter carried one bomb, 500-pound bomb, and he'd come over just at dusk, just before it started getting real dark, and they'd adjust the pitch on the propeller to make a real loud noise, and it'd circle around a couple of times, and you never know where he's going to drop that darn bomb. And of course, we had foxholes that sound the air raids.
Psychological warfare.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we'd jump out and dive in the foxhole, and this guy would come over a couple of 3 times. He dropped them close.
I think I remember something like that in the movie where they had this guy. He would
Yeah.
come in and just buzz them and,
And they
and
had-
just drop it.
The anti-aircraft we had, they weren't too effective. That guy came around for a while. I think finally one of our planes, or a couple of them, got a hold of him and shot him down. Eventually, we wiped out every Japanese plane in the Pacific, all the
Oh,
way
no
up,
kidding.
way up to.
Now, how far after the Battle of Guadalcanal were you there? Because Battle of Guadalcanal was the turning
42.
point.
That was 18 months.
Oh, 18 months. So that was
Yeah.
pretty secure there.
Yeah, they had the Marines. Boy, too bad he's not living anymore, although he wasn't a talkative guy, but Andy Bubanis, he was the Marine line company. They took, he was, that guy had 9 Purple Hearts.
Wow. 9 Purple Hearts.
yeah.
This is a man who lived in Lowell, Massachusetts, and was highly decorated for the Battle of Guadalcanal. It seemed like he should have probably won the Congressional Medal of Honor in the Battle of Guadalcanal, but for some reason I think that it should be researched. But that's another day and another time. Now, did you keep in contact with my uncles at all in regards to
No.
writing them at all?
No.
Because they were in the Battle of Guadalcanal.
Right, they were in the 25th.
Yeah,
Division.
25th to 27th Infantry of the 25th Tropical
Yeah, no.
Lightning Division.
No, we didn't mix much. The only time we mixed with any soldiers, we called them dog faces,
Yeah, oh, okay.
was on Guadalcanal. That's where I saw
All
the
right.
most of them. And once we got to Emerald Island, where my squadron was, via Guadalcanal and Bougainville, and
Oh,
finally
so you
they
had to
got
go to
me.
Bougainville and then fly
Yeah,
into
they
your
came in with a
squadron.
C-47, it was empty, and he says, I'm only going as far as Bougainville. So, okay, so they took us there,
Right.
dumped us off Bougainville. The compound had the stockade fence all
Oh,
around.
no
They
kidding.
still had a lot of Japanese running out in the woods, but and same thing in Guadalcanal. They'd come down and try to break into your mess halls and get food.
They were
there
hungry,
with
yeah.
Few. Yeah, they went all in. But anyway, then eventually I got to the squadron. By then, they had broken up the crew that I'd gone over with.
Oh, wow.
You know, the navigator went to another squad. I think there was 3 squadrons on Emerald Island
Right.
that were located.
How big was this
And,
island? Was it very small?
I think
little island?
what was that, 2 miles.
Oh,
2
that's
square
but it had an
miles.
airstrip.
Oh yeah.
How long was the airstrip? Do you remember?
Oh, golly, they were for B-25s. They were still short, maybe 2,000 feet.
Wow, that's short.
Yeah,
That's short.
yeah. They had to. Of course, there's Coral. You know, they had the
Yeah.
CBs. They had the CB
Mhm.
outfit there, maintained it for us.
All right. So
And,
in Emerald Island, there was no harassment of Japanese. There were no Japanese.
No,
2
no. By
square
then, like I
miles,
say, they had the Marine fighter squads that cleaned up
Right.
99% of the Japanese aircraft. And we used to go on what they called targets of opportunity, and there were certain islands that they hadn't bothered. It was pretty well loaded with Japanese, but they couldn't go anywhere, and we couldn't. They had some pretty effective anti-aircraft, so they told us stay so far away, and we'd go in on targets of opportunity.
So how many
and
planes?
take-
How many planes would you fly? I mean, would there be 3 or 4, or would they be?
Oh, yeah,
like,
usually a 3-plane formation.
oh, that's it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the European theater where you had
Oh,
hundreds
no,
and hundreds of
thousands
planes.
of
Yeah.
them. No, we didn't have
Okay.
thousands of planes.
So you go in, and basically it was a harassment.
Yeah, right.
It's-
We called them targets of opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
strafing runs and all.
Right.
And occasionally we'd go on a bombing run. The only place we bombed frequently was Rabaul Island, but we couldn't go anywhere near the main. It was a huge volcanic island
Oh, I see.
with a great big natural harbor. And we couldn't go past that harbor mouth. We'd go there and drop bombs, figuring if they had ships or subs trying to get
Right.
through.
And this was
There were
just,
100,000
this was
civilians.
nighttime.
No,
All nighttime?
No,
Oh, daytime too?
daytime.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
daytime too.
There were 100,000 French civilians. It was a French possession, Rabaul.
Oh, okay.
So we couldn't touch it because too many civilians there. So, like I say, we shot down all their planes and everything there was and bombed the heck out of the ships and all. But I'll never forget my first mission. They had me flying in the tail a lot. My normal position was a waist gunner.
Right.
But because I was small and skinny, they'd always stick me in the tail.
Oh, boy. No one else wanted it, so they put you there.
Why, you know, you've got almost, maybe about that much of the top of the fuselage covering you. And from here down, you were exposed to anything, but lucky there was no aircraft
It was all
around
glass,
to come
is
in.
that it? It was a bubble?
But my very first mission, we're flying along, and all of a sudden the pilot says, "Okay, you guys, report in." So tell the guys, "I don't see nothing, Captain." "Oh, nothing." He says, "Tail, what's going on back there?" "I don't know, sir. There's a bunch of black clouds." The next thing I know, the plane went, shoo. It was anti-aircraft.
Oh, wow.
Floating. And
bunch
there
of
was
black
one
clouds.
Japanese anti-aircraft gunner. They called him the Professor. He could get your altitude, but he always had trouble leading the shot to get
Right.
you. No, they always usually come behind us. Thank God. Never shot down any of our planes.
Right.
We've lost planes. We lost 2 or 3 crews. We never did hear whatever happened to them.
So
And
they
then-
never came to a reunion or anything like that in regards to the cruise, or?
Oh, no.
No. I mean, so you had, when you were in the plane, you had a parachute and you had did you have a Mae West on also, or?
Yeah.
You did,
yeah.
okay. Mae
But
West is basically life-preserving.
But you know what a normal flight outfit was? A pair of khaki pants, cutter shorts, no shirt, pair of boondockers and socks.
Is that it?
And one day the colonel spotted us, gave us strict orders. You will wear flak suits and the whole, but we didn't do them too often, only on bombing runs. On
Right.
strafing runs, you know,
So
it bothered
what
me.
was the altitude that you flew at?
10,000 feet max.
Maximum, but
Yeah,
so you flew.
because those planes weren't pressurized. No
I see.
oxygen above
No
it,
oxygen.
yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. So what you did is basically you went from different islands, whatever the target was that day. You
Right.
were briefed. You got the briefing, and you went out that day, bombed it, came back. Did you go out more than once during the day, or was it?
No,
usually
we
one
flew.
run?
In fact, we flew once every 3 days. You'd fly one day, the next day you go down, clean all the machine guns on the ship.
Oh, okay.
And the firing the day before.
And they call it a ship. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
All right.
And then on the 3rd day, we pulled a detail. The detail mostly consisted of a merchant ship bringing in bombs out in the harbor. And we had to go out with Higgins boats and they'd load the bombs on the Higgins
Wow.
boat. Then we'd
All
bring
up
it
at
back
torso
and-
strength, huh? It's
Yeah,
all-
3 ships a day.
Yeah. Wow.
And then they bring them out to the ammo dump and they use them.
So basically, you're taking the bomb off the ship, putting it on the boat, taking from going into the harbor, taking it from the harbor, taking the
Putting it
ammo,
on
putting it on the
trucks.
trucks, taking it, put it in
ammo
the ammo
dump.
dump, and then leave it there. Then take it from the ammo dump and put it on the plane, which you had to push in with your hands, or did they
No,
have
no, the
planes?
ordnance men
They
would
do
come
that. All right.
with their, what they call those trucks? I guess bomb trucks.
All right.
It was a big open truck with the shift, stick shift
Yeah.
was way up on like a console on this side here. God, and there where I was small, I'd be driving, I'd be reaching way up there trying to get the shift.
Right. Okay.
And we had to drive on the left side of the island.
Why
On
is
the left
that?
side of
Oh,
the road.
because you're
It was a British,
British
I
colony.
guess, yeah. Same thing on Guadalcanal. Every palm tree the Americans knocked down, they had to pay some British company
Oh, is that
for
right?
everyone.
Oh,
That's
wow.
right.
Oh.
But anyway, and basically it was going out on strafing runs
Okay.
and bombing runs and
the
stuff.
strategy was not to hit every island, right? It was not to hit that island. They just went from different places to
Oh
different
yeah,
places.
we never
and
went,
they-
yeah, we went like, in shift and consistently flowing
Right.
with, just to confuse them. you know.
Right.
That carrying is the one where the Japanese commander was, something the doctor told me he needed liver for something ailment he had. And anytime any planes got shot down, he'd have the doctor cut the liver out of the guys eat them. And he was tried and hung for atrocities of war.
Who was this?
This Japanese commando of
No
Kavieng,
kidding.
which was
Yeah.
the island that we used to hit the most on. yeah.
Now, did you have to jump out of the airplane? Did your plane get shot down?
No,
No?
thank God.
Yeah, I know. So
Again, the B-25, the only way out was out of a hatch that opened down.
wow.
That thing hit the water. You're not getting out.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, so you couldn't bust the plexiglass. So let me ask you a question. You're in the rear of the plane. You're in that little cocoon, so to speak, right? You could see the bombs going off and hitting the targets, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you would tell the pilot, you know, you hit the building.
Oh, no,
and-
the navigator knew.
Oh, he knew.
Yeah, we had a navigator.
Oh, he knew.
Yeah, navigator bombardier.
Okay, so you did that for a while, and what? Now we're getting near the end of the war. What's happening there? I mean,
Well,
what's-
I'll tell you, in July 1945, they said, okay, they named off a whole bunch of us. We had 45 or 50 missions. So you're being rotated back to the States. We heard later that the Marine Corps was planning on taking a bunch of B-25s onto the USS Saratoga, the carrier.
right?
And a la General Doolittle,
Doolittle.
who flew off a carrier.
Yeah.
And they shipped us out to this island, wait for transportation available in the first week of July 45. We were still on that island on August 6th when we were told the war was over, the Japs surrendered. In September, we were still on that island waiting for a ship. In October, we were still on that island
Wow.
waiting for a ship. Because MacArthur took every available ship to show up at the surrender, put up a big show. And then
That's interesting. You didn't go to the surrender. You weren't in Tokyo when it was. So you were on this island. Were you destined to bomb the mainland Japan? Is that what your
no,
your
just
role
those
was?
islands in our area.
Oh, in your area, that was it. So you were on that island, and you wanted to leave, but you couldn't leave. Do you think they forgot you?
I don't know. It was, again, a Navy base, the Isle of Manus. The name was Manus, M-A-N-U-S. And it was myself. There was like 100 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, you know, I'm sure, knowing the military, what happened was everybody was available up at the Philippines and Iwo Jima and Okinawa and New Guinea, which
Right.
MacArthur taken over. They got, hey, the ships are right there, so of course those are the guys they loaded on, you know. Forget those
Well, they were-
Marines sitting out there. in
Well,
the
they were
South
line
Island.
troops, weren't they? And they were line troops.
Well,
and-
there were all kinds. Yeah. You know, feather merchants, you know, personnel clerks and whatever.
yeah.
But so by the time we got to the States, we were discussing, well, we got processed for discharge. They said, everyone east of the Mississippi, you're going to Bainbridge, Maryland Naval, not naval, but a Navy base. Everybody west of the Mississippi, you're going to stay right here in California and get discharged. They threw us on a train. We got to Bainbridge, I got discharged.
How many days? How many days did it take you to go across country in those days?
3 days.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's very
I
important.
remember I got discharged on Armistice Day, 1945.
Wow. So Armistice Day was November 11th, 1945. Right. So now, what happened? Korea came up in 1951.
Well,
what happened there?
Well, you know, that's the one thing, they don't tell you too much in the Marine Corps. When I signed up, I didn't know the difference, but I was USMCR,
Oh, reserve.
okay, reserve, because I was 17.
Right.
But I got an honorable discharge
Right.
when I got processed out of
Right.
Bainbridge. And no one said anything to me about anything. I went home, you know, and that was it. And then when Korea broke out, I was married already then, and I'm telling my wife, gee whiz, I got to go back. Oh, no, you're not. Then I get a letter from the Marine Corps. We would appreciate it if you would report to Camp Lejeune on September 30th, I think it was.
You remember the dates. That's very good.
Yeah, 1950.
Right.
And jeepers,
Now, what were you when you got out? What rank were you when you got out?
staff sergeant.
Staff sergeant. Okay.
So I'm saying, jeepers, how come? So I went down to the recruiting office in Lowell and I talked to the sergeant there. I said, not for nothing. I'll be glad to go between them. Don't tell my wife. And he says, oh, well, he says, you USMCR, he says, right. He said, you're available to us for 10 years after you enlist.
Wow.
Okay, great. So anyway, so I did. But I thought I was going to get back into aviation. Lejeune is the line company, Fleet Marine Force.
Right.
So I got down there, and that's another long story. But the guy said, "What did you do on the war side?" "I was a radio gunner." "What's that?" "Oh boy, I'm in trouble." "We don't have those anymore." "Oh, fine." So
So you told me you were a radio operator.
yeah, so they sent me to a reconnaissance company out at Onslow Beach.
Oh, wow.
I reports into the captain there, and he says, "What the hell are those stupid wings you got on there?" I says, "Aircrew wings, sir." I says, "Where'd you get those?" I says, "A B-25 gunner. And you know how to shoot a machine gun?"
Oh,
I said,
boy.
"Yes, sir." "Well, then, yeah, great." He says, "You're staying here." So they sent me the whole schmear, rifle range,
right.
NCO Academy, and all that stuff.
Wow.
Then he says, we're on a replacement draft to go to Korea. Okay. The day before we were supposed to ship out, they called me down, put me up before a general officer board. I thought I was being court-martialed. They asked me, "What'd you do in the war? Where'd you go to service schools?" I told them. "What are you doing in the infantry?" "Sir, they told me to go there, and I'm here." "All right, well, you're reassigned to aviation." They shipped me to El Toro, California.
You're kidding me. You're so lucky.
And you know what? I got into R4Ds, we called them, DC-4s, four-engine cargo planes.
Cargo planes.
Did nothing but fly from California to Hawaii to Japan to Korea and back.
Wow.
And we had a Morse code, send our position reports in. I hadn't done it in 7 years, but it comes back.
Wow. Once you know Morse code, I don't think anyone knows Morse code anymore. I don't think it's used as... Well, I think it's used, but I don't think it's used as preferably.
But you know what? I bet they've done away with radio men and navigators with the GPS they have now. They don't need either one.
Well,
really.
I think they still have navigators. I
No,
know somebody in
no.
the Navy is a
Yeah.
navigator still.
Oh, well, on the
Yeah.
Navy ships, yeah.
Yeah.
But even that, they don't have to go through what the old navigators
Well, you know
had.
about GPS, is that it?
Yeah.
Huh? Well, that's good. So, so in Korea, so you were in Korea for maybe a day or two.
I never even got to Korea with the line company. That's
No.
all we did was fly into
Fly in
Korea.
and fly out.
Yeah.
That same day, or
No,
you
no.
stayed over?
Are you kidding? Once we got there with those big, that was before they had the, well, they had the C-130s, but the Air Force had them. And any time we got in anywhere in Korea, the minute while they were unloading the plane, some infantry line company general would come down and say, "Look, I gotta get this stuff up to." It was in those days they didn't say Seoul and whatever.
So,
It was K this and K that, the code name of the town, and we'd spend 2 and 3 and 4 days.
let me ask you a question. What do you think of General MacArthur? He was a 5-star general. What was he, Allied Commander? Is that what they called him?
Supreme.
Supreme Commander.
Yeah.
Not too many 5-star generals today. What's your impression of him as a general during
was
World
a
War
hero.
II and Korea?
He was a very smart general. Egotistical, mega egotistical, but he knew what he was doing. These guys all respected him.
Everybody in the Marine
Yeah,
Corps respected
yeah,
him too,
yeah.
even though he was an Army guy.
Yeah.
They respected him, huh?
Yeah.
Even for well, what's your funny memories that you remember, or funny things that happened in the military? I mean, and you how about the worst experience you had in the military that you remember?
The worst experience we had, and it's laughable, when we had the old B-25C models, they called them, where the .30 caliber was aft of the waist, and firing away with a .30 caliber stupid machine gun. And one of the cartridges popping out hit the bulkhead, and again I was wearing the khaki shorts without a belt, and even though I only weighed 132 pounds,
Right.
the waist had turned over from bending over. And I'm firing away, and all of a sudden I felt something hot on me, and I pressed against my side. So, gee, I've been hit. And the more I held it, the more it hurt, you know. I took my hand away, and I looked. It was my own stupid cartridge. I still got the scar there.
You still do.
I could have done like Kerry did if I knew, and go down and say, "Hey, I got hit."
Well,
Give me a Purple Heart.
I mean, you should put
I didn't-
yourself in for a Purple Heart now. I mean, it's not too late. You know,
But
you should
friendly-
apply for a
friendly
Purple
fire
Heart.
doesn't count.
Well, that's true, but nowadays they don't know that you still have the scar.
Oh, that's
I
funny.
mean-
I should have saved the stupid
no,
cartridge.
no, I think there was a time, and you told me, and we didn't bring it up, you were in Florida down in Key West, and you used to go to Havana, Cuba on your weekends.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
what
was that was joy. That
Yeah.
and when we were on the island, we went on R&R to Sydney, Australia for 2 weeks.
Wow, that must have
Yeah.
been interesting.
Yeah, that
have you
was-
ever been back to Sydney, Australia since that time?
No, boy, I would love to go. Seeing what it is today,
Yeah.
back in the didn't have anything like it is now.
Yeah. So tell us about the journey to Havana, Cuba, when you guys used to
Oh,
do.
well, when we were in 613 in January 44,
This is during, yeah, okay, 44.
they decided they were going to experiment with the B-25s dropping torpedoes.
Okay,
So, of course, to save money, they used cement torpedoes.
right, that
We
makes
lost
sense.
3 airplanes from that.
Wow.
Three plane formation. And evidently, these 2 wingmen got too close with the load on.
Right.
They went down. They could never recover them. They went down too deep. And that's the first time we knew that they sent an empty coffin that was weighted. And that's why they sent 2 escorts till that thing went in the ground and was covered.
Mm-hmm.
And the unpleasant part of it was that we'd go to Havana, Cuba on weekends. That was living.
Oh yeah, tell us about it. I mean,
it was nice. You go into a bar room, and most bartenders in the big hotels were Americans. 50 cents. We used to drink
rum and coke.
Old Granddad.
Oh, Granddad.
bourbon. And pay $50 for the drink, and give the bartender $50 tip. Put out appetizers, sausages, and all kinds of stuff. Left the bottle right there. You want the second drink? Hey, the bottle's right there. The chaser's right there. Never collected another nickel off.
Now, when you flew, you used government planes to fly to Havana.
We'd go on. Well, yeah, we used to go. We called them navigation flights.
Oh, navigation
checking the
flights.
fuel
Oh,
consumption
I
and
see.
stuff.
I see.
We landed at Batista Field, who was the actually dictator.
He was the dictator of before Castro.
Cuba, yeah.
Fidel Castro. So you used to go there how many times every weekend?
Just weekends, yeah. Well, you know, we flew. We could fly during the day, but the ground crews, their work day ran from 4 in the afternoon till 11 at night because of the heat. But the southernmost tip of the United States was
Right.
Boca Chica, Florida. The
Right.
next stop was Havana. So
Wow. So you guys used to take a little flight across 90 miles away and have a good time.
hey,
You go out with any Cuban woman or anything like
Oh, I
that?
don't
Or
remember.
we don't want to talk about that.
I don't
'cause-
remember.
Oh, okay. With it's a pleasure having you here and talking about your experiences. I'm sure that some of these memories have come up that you haven't had before, and if
90% of them.
yeah, that's good.
I
Hey,
still remember them.
well, I mean, hey, that's good. I mean, you're doing very well. I mean, you were golfing yesterday, so I mean, you're doing very well. You're still up there, and you still have a spunk in you, and that's the most important thing. Paul and my family have known each other for a long time. Paul knew me when I was an infant, and our families know each other and go back before time. So he knew my uncles that were also in World War II in Guadalcanal, and they never spoke about it. Why do World War II veterans not really talk about it? I mean, what's that all about?
The strange part is when we won. So
Oh, that's a good one. I like
we never
that.
thought of it. You know,
Yeah.
we didn't.
That's interesting. We're over, Paul. We've done it.
Oh.
Yeah.